so you want to do a wood project. You're a young person, maybe you just started your wood shop, and you need to find out how much lumber you need. A common mistake, a common error made among young people and novices when it comes to woodworking is not ordering or buying enough lumber. That's because you need to know the true measurement of different type of lumbers. So this presentation here today is to talk about what is the true sizes. This might be a 2x4, but is it really a 2x4? Anyway, let's look at some popular lumber sizes and see the actual dimensions versus the declared dimensions, and I'll tell you why one is different from the other. So welcome to Sid's Wood Shack. Thank you for joining me. And if you enjoy my videos, there's more on there for young people. If you want to start a wood shop, there's different videos that show what kind of tools, basic tools you need, what kind of saws and hammers and drill bits and so forth. So let's take a look at some lumber real fast. Okay, thanks. Okay, so before us we have some pretty popular lumber sizes. Let's start over here in the smallest lumber, and in front of me I have a 1x2. That's the declared measurement. If you go into a store to buy a 1x2, that's what it's going to say. But the actual measurement is 3/4 inches by 1 7/8. Okay, so 2 inch, 1 7/8. That's a 1x2. Jump up one, you have a 1x3. That's what it says in the rack in the store. But the actual measurement is actually 3/4 inch by 2.5 inches. Now, let me tell you why. This is because when they cut the lumber at the lumber mill, it's all exact measurements: 1x2, 1x3, 2x4, etc. But then after they plane it down to make it smooth, you don't have near as much. So basically, when you order a piece of lumber or you buy a piece of lumber, you have to pay for the sawdust or scraps that come off after it's planed. Here is a 1x4. It's a treated lumber, maybe for a ramp I built outside here so I can roll my equipment out. But the actual measurements is 3/4 inch by 3.5 inches. Okay, now this one here, getting a little bit bigger. This is also a treated piece of lumber for decks. It's a 1x6. This is what they declare in the Lowe's, Home Depot, and other stores that sell lumber. Actual measurement 1 5.5. 1 inch by 5.5 inches. So you don't have near as much there. It's a pretty stout piece of lumber. I love using treated lumber about this size. I've done many projects with them. Now here's one that we buy. This is probably a pretty popular piece of lumber to purchase. It's a standard 2x4. Let me also say, if you buy a 6-foot piece of lumber, the length, it's going to be 6 feet. If you buy one 8, 10, 12, 16 feet, it's going to be those measurements, but it's not so with the width or the depth. So a 2x4 actual measurement is 1.5 by 3.5. 1.5 by 3.5. Then we bump up to these bigger pieces of boards for bigger projects. This is a 2x10 pine piece of lumber. The actual measurement is 1.5 inches by 9 1/4. And again, let me flip it a little bit. There's the side of it. There's the top. Now, I didn't cover all the lumbers because I don't have samples of every single type. But here you go. Here's a little list for you. A 1x8 is actually 3/4 by 7 1/4. 2x2 is 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. The 2x6 is actually 1.5 inches by 5.5. Then you bump up to the 2x8. That's 1.5 inches by 7 1/4. Then you go to a 4x4. That's a nice post size. That's actually 3.5 by 3.5. Then if you really bump up to a heavier piece, bigger piece of lumber, 6x6, it's really 5.5 by 5.5. Okay, so thanks for joining me in my wood shop. I appreciate that. Please view my other videos. If you like them, share them. Please subscribe. And may all your wood be true. Take care.